only guide you'll ever need to become a kick-ass Jira administrator. Presented by Jackie Owino. If it's the first time that you join ezTagile webinars, let me introduce briefly the company. ezTagile was founded in 2016 for a successful, self-starting Black female in the IT industry, Camille Sproul. Her vision was to create a company that provides tailored Agile solutions and foster an Agile mindset. What is awesome about us is like we are not just like an Agile firm. We have a philanthropic arm that we are very excited about it. We donate our time and money to several organizations. As a highlight, we recently were able to raise funds to support the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society and help people and families that are battling with cancer. We did that even with the pandemic. With the recently news and the craziness around the world, we want to take a moment to reflect in one of our values, that we believe that people comes first. And we promote wellness, equity, diversity, and inclusion. We did those internally in our team, but we do also this with our clients. With our vision and values, we try to help business individuals to become the best version of themselves. In terms of what ezTagile offers, of course, we're all about Agile solutions, Atlassian service and tools, and Agile staffing. So in summary, if you have any questions or concern about anything about Agile or any Atlassian tool, whatever is your journey, we'll be happy to talk with you. Do not charge, just set up 30 minutes meeting on the link that will be on the chat on your screen. And again, I will share more information with you. So feel free to ask any questions to us if it's related to our service. Last but not the least, we have two announcements. First, we would like to invite you to our upcoming webinar. It's also like a free webinar. It's going to be in August 14, and we have a very special guest speaker, Art Pittman. He will be talking about how to make disagreements work. And the other big announcement is like we are accepting RFI proposals. So if you know any software Agile development team, please spread the word. I will send an email with more details soon. As well, you will find like the link in the chat. Thanks again. Finally, let me introduce you our presenter, Jackie Owino. Jackie is part of the ezTagile family. She has more than 20 years of experience working in the IT industry. She has been coaching and leading organizations in their adoption to Agile. What I personally love about Jackie is that she's always going to show up. She's very passionate about her work, and she loves to be part of this Agile community, as you are here today. Let's welcome to Jackie, and thank you, Jackie, for your support. I'm going right now to stop sharing for a minute my screen so Jackie can start sharing her screen.
Thank you, Maria. Thank you all. So happy Friday. It's good to see you all again. I see some familiar faces. I'm really excited about this topic because it's something that you know, I love Atlassian and I love the spirit of the tools that they bring to the table to support collaboration. I've worked with Atlassian tools for over 10, 15 years, and you know, it's exciting to see all the growth and the different things that they're improving in terms of their range of tools, whether it's tools for software developers, tools for infrastructure teams, and it's extremely extensive. So I am going to go off camera, please, as I start my presentation. Please feel free to interact and put any questions you have as I go along. Okay, so I'll start presenting. One moment. Okay, I definitely realize that everyone goes through different paths in terms of, you know, being a Jira administrator. Some may have just started as a Scrum Master in an organization and taken up, you know, helping their teams in terms of setting up their projects, and then finally, you know, getting a bigger role in administrating Jira. In some cases, they have you know, transitioned from that Scrum Master role into being a full-fledged Jira administrator, where they actually, you know, install instances of Jira, support plugins that they're adding into the tool sets that they're supporting, as well as extending out to supporting DevOps teams. So the range of, you know, what a Jira administrator can have is really, you know, depending on what role you've been, whether you're serving in a large organization or in an organization that's, you know, 10K or supporting 15K organizations. What also, one of the things that is a big factor in the support for Jira administrators is what are the processes in place that you're trying to help enable. So, you know, it could be just a team that's working with Scrum. It could be a mix of Scrum and Kanban, and then it could be even a larger organization that is adopting Agile. So all those factors come into play as you play a role in being a Jira administrator. So as application lifecycle management tools become essential in supporting Agile and DevOps practices, there's definitely a need to step up the game in administering and supporting collaboration across teams. Today, I will cover some problems I have encountered as a Jira administrator supporting an array of Atlassian tools, and also give tips on strategies towards becoming a kick-ass, well-rounded Jira administrator. I have had the opportunity to work in a startup environment supporting Jira, Bitbucket, and some of the other tools that Atlassian has integrated with. And I've also had the opportunity to work in a large corporation supporting 15,000 Jira users. I understand that everyone's expectation and experience may be different, and there might be some scenarios that you would like to dive in a little deeper after this session. We definitely offer an opportunity to do that, and with the 30 minutes free consultation that Maria had mentioned. So please feel free to take advantage of that. In many organizations, small and big, we tend to have siloed support for tools, whether it's, you know, a team or a person supporting Jira, and then another person supporting Confluence, and then another person supporting the software source code management tools. And sometimes with that range of tools and applications, you find that someone seeking help can be, you know, has the experience of being, you know, routed to several different ways. And sometimes it's through email, sometimes it's through chat, sometimes it's very inconsistent. So the experience is not great from a user. As well as the tools are changing so fast, and you might find that there's insufficient or outdated information provided for support of the tools. As a new user, you might just not even understand where to get the support or who to support. There's also, how do we as Jira administrators work very closely with transformation leaders, transformation champions to actually enable agile practices. You know, these are not just, it's actually something that should be managed holistically. So I'm really excited in, you know, talking about, as a Jira administrator, what are the things that you can put in place to be able to understand that big picture. And also in this time of COVID, how do you actually start to adapt in supporting a digital virtual workforce? So one of the things I find very exciting is the concept of using a customer journey as a way to visualize and improve your team's experience as they interact with their ALM tools. Whether it's requesting a new integration or learning about upcoming features, your ultimate goal is to make the process of accessing your tools and services efficient and intuitive for your teams. I'd like to share just a few examples. In front of you, we have a Scrum team called Cheers for Beers. And they're a Scrum team that is diverse. They, you know, they're excited about the product they're building. And they're actually mostly working remotely. Actually, at this time, they're all working remotely. You know, what's important to them is that they collaborate effectively. They have the right tools to help them plan. They have the right tools to help them capture their retrospectives. So, you know, they appreciate working with an administrator who can enable these capabilities for them. In a couple of months, they also have several team members. John's the first team member that's joining them. And we will talk about how to visualize introducing John to the support model. So in terms of creating a journey map, there are several steps that are required. And part of it, as I had discussed before, is just the ability to understand the user base that you're supporting. In this case, I have a Scrum team, and I think about their journey in 4 different ways. Is the Scrum team first, maybe they're starting out as a Scrum team. They have a product owner who is trying to find information about Jira and their ecosystem, about some of the plugins that they can use. And that is considered part of discovery. And then the next step is just having guidance around how do they get started? How do they engage with not only their team, but with other teams that they are working closely with. The third part is really the core of how do you support the capabilities, yeah? In Jira, how are you planning? How do you support traceability into build and test tools? And as well as how do you support the capturing metrics and being able to have visual indicators so that you can actually work more seamlessly as a team. And then really the third part is actually supporting and sustaining those practices. So when you look at a journey map, is one of the things is understanding your current view as an organization. What are the things that are important to you? So we talk about the goals of your personas. So you then are able to capture those goals as they progress through the different states. You also would like to understand in that current state, what are the different touch points that they access your services. It might be how do they know who to reach out from a Jira administration perspective? Now, it might not be optimal at this time, but part of actually capturing the current journey map is understanding the things that you want to put in place to improve that user experience and improve how you interact with your user base. So in this specific example, you have a lot of email, you have some people, some touch points through Confluence documentation, you have some touch points through drive-by or hallway conversations, and then you have some support channels through the Slack channel. So one of the things that you might want to say is, okay, with all these touch points, what are the things that are working effectively, and what are the things that you might want to improve? And those are where you document your thoughts and frustrations, such as, okay, we do have documentation, but it is inconsistent or inaccurate. So one of the things that you can do as a Jira administrator is, how do you start to build your own backlog in sunsetting things that are inaccurate or old, so that when your user base goes out to those places that you've actually, you direct them to, they're not wasting time or they're not getting stale information. Another example, just to talk about from a Jira administrator perspective, is going down to usage. So how do you actually work with your teams in terms of helping them have the best practices in planning and also in reporting? Yeah, so there's the ability to establish standard schemes that help in understanding where the flow of work is in, and also putting consistent reporting across the organization. You might also identify certain areas like lack of standard defect and test cases. And as a Jira administrator, one of the things you might say is, where, based on your budget or based on your roadmap, yeah, how can you start to look into what are the best, defect or test management tools that in future you can integrate. So just at a glance, this provides a bigger picture of how you want to enable your teams and some of the touch points that you might want to improve when having a conversation with your teams. So in looking at the bigger picture, you have a decision as an administrator or as part of an individual working in a larger administrative team in understanding how do you improve a single area. In this example, it's about getting started. And as the Jira administrative team talked about what are the things that they improved, one of the recommendations was, okay, we need to think about building role-based playbooks. So it's not just about the functionality or the feature set of the team. You're now connecting how the teams are working. So are they using Scrum and Kanban, what are the boards what are the things and practices they might want to apply as they actually, work within those processes. You might actually have a lot of questions coming in with you and to you as administrator. And one of the things is maybe even actually standing up a simple service desk to manage admin requests like creating projects or managing changes to permissions, managing plugin requests. Those are things that you can do as part of your role in streamlining the process and making it easier for the user base to reach you. Other things you might also want to encourage is, being part of a community of practice, really working very closely with your Scrum Masters and Agile coaches and supporting each other through the goals that you want to achieve as an organization. So as we transition, from looking at the big picture as a Jira administrator, there's the aspect of also as an individual, how do you build yourself and how do you keep yourself, how do you differentiate yourself? So one of the things that has been happening in terms of a lot of applications is they're changing faster than ever, and feature sets are being added, they're being improved, and they're also being removed. So one of the things is being really, there's always a chance that you might give wrong guidance on a feature that you might not have, realized has been changed in a certain way. Also, as a Jira administrator in your organization, there might not be enough time or enough space or an environment where you can innovate, that you can actually build yourself. So those are some of the challenges that you might run into as a Jira administrator. And then just maybe lack of support for continuous learning. So what are the things that you can, tips that you can take to help solve some of these problems? First thing is being able to differentiate yourself as a Jira administrator. Atlassian provides several certifications that can help, and not only do they support different certifications, they have several learning paths that can help you transition fast. In this case, maybe supporting a Scrum team by understanding how to be an Agile team leader and using the capabilities of Jira to help you plan and work with your team. And then you might also be able to take Jira Project Administrator, which is, it's a localized role, but it's a role that is targeted towards setting up the right projects, setting up the right reports, being able to work with the team members in understanding what are the workflows that they can put in place to support their work. Now, even as a Jira administrator, I think it's also important to extend your reach out and understand more about Confluence, understand more about Jira Service Desk. So there's a whole range of information that is provided in the Atlassian website over the certifications. Along with the certifications, you can also have nuggets of learning. So the certifications require quite a bit of time in terms of preparing and actually practically working with the tools and understanding how to apply some of the aspects. But there are several modules that are really targeted towards building skill set. So you can think about Jira reporting and dashboards just in terms of a Scrum Master in a certain role, yeah. They would then, after achieving a certification in Agile development, they could then take specific badges targeted towards Jira reporting and dashboards, or they could also just get Scrum certified. So there's a slew of skill set badges that are provided within that framework to build your skill set. One of the things that's easily is a key thing is being able to not only build yourself as a Jira administrator or an administrator for Atlassian tools, but being able to set the stage for innovation. There's the whole excitement about innovation sprints or learning days, sometimes called FedEx days. How can you influence or enable, continuous learning as a Jira administrator? Part of just being able to understand what development teams or what infrastructure teams is working very closely with them. So it's an opportunity during an innovation sprint to say, hey, I'm gonna come out of my role as a Jira administrator and work for this sprint with a development team so I can understand and experience, what is their day-to-day, work as a developer, and what are the things that I can improve in, enabling them to use the tools more effectively. In terms of one of the other things that you can do in terms of supporting innovation is being able to create environments, test environments that teams can experiment with. So if it's a new team that's saying, hey, I want to see how I can integrate Jira with a Bitbucket and have a little more traceability into the changes that are coming in play, in the code. How do you enable that without necessarily doing it in production? Another thing that teams are extremely excited about is using plugins that extend the functionality of Jira. So one of the things that you might also be able to do is work with teams that say, hey, you know what? We've seen this new Agile retrospective plugin, and we would like to see if that's a good fit for our organization. Of course, there's the actual responsibility as a Jira administrator to understand the plugin, understand if it can scale to support your user base. But I think one of the first things is really understanding, does it meet the functionality of the teams that want to use it? So being able to provide that environment. And the last thing is really being able to collaborate through lunch and learns. So not only as a Jira administrator sharing some of your knowledge, but also being able to participate in them and learn. So, as a call to action, one of the things I find very exciting is being able to serve, being a servant leader. And I really like this quote: in the best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others, by Mahatma Gandhi. I'd like to encourage everyone to give back to the community by supporting their local user groups, local and global conferences. You can also visit some of the groups we support and join them at ezTagile.com. As a call to action, the next generation customer-obsessed Jira administrators not only understand how to set up and support the applications, they can effectively discuss and partner with Agile coaches and champions to set the stage for seamless Agile or DevOps adoption. I hope you can take away some of the tips and share or implement them in your role and different organizations. I'd like to, at this point, transition and maybe just take a few questions. Thank you so much for your time. I'm gonna come on camera and really excited to see everyone.
Thank you, Jackie. Great presentation. I think I put the option that you can unmute yourself. John, do you want to try it? I know that you have a question. Do you want to try to unmute yourself? There we go.
Yes. Hi, everyone. I put it in the chat window. My question, great job, Jackie. My question was, I've just joined an organization and they have a great Jira and Confluence team site set up, but I noticed that everybody uses Google Drive. And so I'm wondering, how can I drive, if you have any tips that you've seen to move people towards that, other than just getting the leadership maybe to post more and say, oh, it's in Jira or Confluence, how to do that. And then part B of my question was, you mentioned plugins, and I've noticed that Atlassian has come out with a lot of good plugins in the last 2 years. Do you have any favorites that you would recommend to people, either to help drive that kind of adoption or because they're particularly helpful?
Yeah. So I think, John, one of the things that I discussed is understanding people's motivation on why they go to a specific site, and understanding, is it that the conference site has so much information that they get overwhelmed and they would rather use Google Docs. I think one of the things is really understanding what is their motivation and asking those questions first. Yeah. It's hard to specifically, I'm not necessarily in favor of saying, hey, you shall do this. You want to actually create an experience that's enjoyable so that they actually see, what, now that everything's been cleaned up, I can actually quickly find things. It's easier just to go to the conference site. One of the other things I see as a big way to encourage people to use Confluence is, in Jira, you have certain places where you can actually direct them to specific Confluence documentation, and using that effectively helps. Yeah, whether you say there's on the side panel in Jira, you have a place where you can actually put links that direct teams to specific places in Confluence. I would say Scrum Masters need to learn how to do that and help their teams, use the tools more effectively. I hope that helps in answering the question.
Yeah, thank you. We have another question from Sylvia. Sylvia, can you unmute yourself?
Can you hear me?
Yes, perfect.
Well, and it's sort of just a challenging issue in and of itself, where our team is approximately 60% operations and 40% project work, and we're trying to estimate our scrums, and we're trying to be able to allocate a certain amount of time for projects, but the operations just keeps coming in and kind of ruining our estimates. I was wondering if there were any sort of tools that you would recommend inside Jira for that.
Well, there are two things and I'm gonna take this question in two parts, yeah. Part of the challenge you have is what is driving, you know, the operations work. Is it just, do you feel that the way you're set up or the product, you know, is, I guess I'm going to ask a couple of questions. It's like, yeah, is the operational work that you're getting, you know, because you're not set up correctly, or is it something that is driven towards it's just the nature of your work?
Unfortunately, a bit of both. I'm with UNC School of Medicine. Some of the operations work is just unavoidable, and it's people that require accounts made, things that we can't automate for them. And then some of it, I'm quite sure, could be automated if we created a new project to create a UI or something to make more accessibility into the systems.
Okay, that's great to hear. So I think one of the main things is you might be able to create a service desk where people can easily, you know, request and, you know, you can have a trail of what are the things that, what are the requests that are coming in. And I think monthly or weekly, you can actually look at the tickets across your service desk and say, you know, 10% or is targeted towards this area. There's 50% of our capacity is towards area C. This is the thing that we need to focus on to drive that, you know, to drive the operational side so that we can actually focus on some of the planned work. So there are different aspects of it, but yeah, I would say take advantage of that 30 minutes. That's a classic, I would say that's a classic thing that we can actually deep dive and talk about some of the things you might be able to put in place.
Thank you.
I don't see, I don't know, somebody, I don't see any other questions on the chat. People were commenting that they like the name of the team. Jackie, cheers for the beers team.
Yep.
And
I hope they get enough teams so that they can celebrate more.
So thank you, everyone. We really appreciate your time with us today. Again, we have two events, one event coming up, a free webinar on August 14. Probably you know we have Art Pittman as a guest speaker, and he's going to talk about conflict. And also we had an open, like an RFI proposal that you can check in our website. We hope you have a great weekend and see you next time. Please ping us if you need anything else for ezTagile. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you.